ECB President Jean-Claude Trichet says Europe should consider forming a Euro region finance ministry. Jacques Cailloux is the chief European economist for Royal Bank of Scotland. He is joining us this morning on the phone from London. Jacques, thanks so much for being with us. What do you make of this plan? There seems to be a question of timing in that this administration, this ministry, would not be lasting forever, 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah, I think, you're absolutely right. I think the question of timing is very important here, and I think what Trichet delivered as a speech, which is a very interesting and illuminating speech, I think the timeline is very important, and he's talking about the long term here. It doesn't put much of a exact detailed timeline, but it's certainly a very long-term perspective. My interpretation of this, in terms of what he's considering in terms of changes, would require probably 5 to 10 years to be put in place here. So it's a very long-term perspective. Also, I think, it would have been also better or nicer to see these sort of proposals coming through from the politicians, i.e. Sarkozy or Merkel, and we need to see, obviously, the politicians backing up those proposals. But, the ECB is a very, very important institution. It's making important proposals. These are very good proposals, but the timeline is extremely important, and this is not referring to anything imminent at all.
Okay, so we'd have to wait for this kind of thing to be formed if, in fact, it happens. You mentioned Sarkozy, you mentioned Merkel. This is quite a difficult thing to form anyway, if it does happen, right? There's all kinds of referendum that are necessary, and politically, it seems like it would be a pretty hard feat to pull off.
Yeah, Trichet himself makes it very clear in his speech that any of the changes that he's talking about, not only about the sort of Ministry of Finance, but also in terms of the more binding fiscal rules, this would require a reform of the European Treaty. This would, in fact, need, as you said, referendum in a number of countries, which at this particular stage is a no-go area, given that it's very hard to think about a process whereby you would go to reform the treaty in such in-depth way. So at this stage, I think it's a speech that needs to be put in a broader historical context and does not really apply to the short-term policy response to the crisis which is affecting the European situation.
Jacques, thank you so much for the time.